soul of the city.
What is going on, St. Louis City SC fans and MLS fanatics? Welcome back, can you believe it, to another episode of Soul of the City. Today, I am joined by FTM Muhammad, FTM Chris. Gentlemen, it's been a while since we've been here. It's been a long season, a poor season. Just before we dive into things that we've missed in the last couple weeks, give me your guys' thoughts on. Just give me the season as a whole. Wrap it up in a paragraph or two.
A paragraph. I'll give you a little expression. I'll just say the wheels fell off, they never came back on. That's how I would describe the season.
Muhammad?
How PG can I do I have to be?
You don't have to be PG.
So the first half of the season was like someone beating me with a coin. It's like basically just hitting me all day. But the second half of the season felt like I was edging, but we got a bust at the end. We never did. And I feel like this year that's what's going to happen. That was the whole second half of the season. We don't have to look at the first. Just the second half was really good. First half was not really good.
I mean, dude, if you think about the first half of the season, there were some crazy results in there. There was the tie away from home against Miami with Messi, with Suarez, with everybody ex-Barca. And there was the tie away from home at LA Galaxy. And I think those two draws gave me a lot of hope for the first half. But, yeah, ultimately the wheels fell off in that first half. And there really was no way to make it back up. Signed some new players in January, as everybody knows, and those players worked out very well so far. It came out, I don't know if you guys saw, that neither Hartel or Teutschert were playing at 100%. Like, Teutschert was
the whole
close.
Season?
Yeah, since they arrived in St. Louis. It was said that Teutschert maybe made it to 75%, and Hartel wasn't even practicing full-time with the squad. He was literally just showing up for games, which makes me really hopeful for the future, because once they get fully integrated, which it sounds like they weren't. I don't know why they weren't, but good things to come.
It might be the turnaround.
Where'd you hear that, Riley?
I think it was a Let's quote. I saw it on Twitter a while back. Honestly, it's been so long that I could imagine I saw that like 2 months ago, but I've hung on to it for this long.
It probably was the turnaround from the second division, then come to America, immediately play, because they didn't really get a break realistically. Because since we have so much like different schedules, so it was like just like a bunch of games, you're just playing constantly.
And that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah. I felt like last season was kind of a throwaway because we had like this core that was from like the initial season, but then they started trying to do something extra, like with Hartel and Teutschert coming in. I don't know. I think the locker room got lost by Carnell at some point, and then we just got to sell a dinner in. Like, I don't know, like all the core that was there, like all the main players that were there, like Celio goes down, Klaus is like not playing to his full ability. It's just it was a weird season. Right away, Tim Parker, right? Like that's the biggest indicator that they were looking for kind of like a locker room change and like a different set of leaders, different voice, different vibe.
Definitely.
Now, I did a little bit of digging and I found out that St. Louis is like they're trying to recreate the U21 German national team from like a few years ago. Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
Oh, Hartel was on that. Jonas Horn was on that. Edward Leuven was on that, and Cedric Tuchart was on that as well.
Was our new Baumgartel guy on that as well?
Yes, he was.
Yeah, and we'll talk about him here in a little bit. Yeah. I mean, I think at the end of the day, yes, the season was pretty much a complete waste, but I think the club are doing enough to keep us on our toes and put together like a good, high-functioning football club. I think that they haven't strayed from that path, and I don't think anybody's upset with this season. I think everybody's just excited to go into season 3.
It's weird because like you have like the time to do a rebuild in the MLS does not coincide with the transfer windows in Europe. I mean, they kind of do like in the January transfer window, right? Like if you want to get somebody in, that's kind of late in the season. Like the MLS season starts February 22nd, I think. Like at least it does this year. So like you don't have a whole lot of time to negotiate with players and make that happen and try to convince them to leave their European club in January. And so then your only other option is to do a club rebuild in the summer, mid-season, which is what Lutz and everybody did. Which ultimately, like now going into 2025, like I'm happy we did it, but it just makes it awkward. Like maybe that's another argument for MLS to switch up their season so that it coincides with the rest of Europe
and the rest of the world.
It's funny that you bring that up because that's a point that even Don Garber has brought up and the MLS has considered is moving to line up with the rest of the world, literally the rest of the world. It'd be way more beneficial for MLS. I think it'd suck for like the northern clubs, your Vancouvers, your Minnesotas. But I think other than that, teams will find a way. We saw it over these festive fixtures in the UK. They can get it done even when it snows a little bit. So, yeah, great point. And I mean, St. Louis has made some moves. Our end of season roster stuff was pretty straightforward. We basically
who's in and out? Let's go through all those.
We took every player's option except for John Klein was released. I'm hearing murmurs that he's going to Charleston Battery. I think he's going to replace Nick Marcanic, Anthony's brother, who's bound for Europe right now. And then Jake Nervinsky, his contract is being renegotiated right now. We didn't take his option, but we haven't heard anything from the club on an extension. He's kind of one of the ones as well. He's from the Tim Parker era now. Started with the club. We've on this show have been long time not big fans of his style of play, but it sounds like people in the club really like him as a person, as a human being. So you got to respect that a little bit, and I'm sure that's why he's getting consideration for an extension at all at this point. So we'll wait to see what happens there. Outgoings, Blom still on loan. I don't think Blom will return to St. Louis. I think that was a Bradley Carnell guy who really struggled under Hackworth, and I just don't see him coming back to the States, most unfortunately, because I thought he had a lot of potential. Any final remarks for Blom? I could just about guarantee he's not going to come back.
Yeah, I would agree. It's a shame though, because that first season, like he looked like he was going to go to a Prem club. I think we were like way too high on him probably early on, but he just
Everton. There was like Everton rumors about him on Twitter.
There were, and so it sucks that it didn't really work out for him. And it's kind of weird too, because it wasn't like fully an injury that did it. It was like he just wasn't being selected, so that was odd.
Yeah, I think it was just a Carnell era signing, both South Africans, and it just didn't work out for him. I guess Hackworth didn't like his mojo. Who knows? The other outgoing, Jose Kojima, was picked up in the MLS.
Big loss.
What is that? The Super Draft? No, the expansion draft.
Yeah.
It was picked up and traded away.
Yep.
San Diego got him.
So he's now in DC. They traded $400K in GAM for our Japanese Pookie Jose Kojima. Really unfortunate because as we'll kind of get into later in the show, our new head coach who we signed apparently is exceptional at developing young talent. We'll talk about his coaching career, but it seems like, and Muhammad, I'm sure you have some comments about this. We would have liked to see Kojima protected over the likes of some of the older players on our roster.
like a 29-year-old Rasmus Alm who's hurt most of the time.
Yeah, but
maybe.
you forget where we're at right now as a club is we have a Swedish national team coach. So the likes of Joachim Nielsen probably gonna get some run. Alm probably gonna get some run. Like
Yeah,
it plays into it. It
yeah,
always
it
does.
plays into it. But I think if they're fit, it's like as a club perspective, like these guys are never really healthy for a full season. Like like what are we doing? Like you can protect like Kojima instead of them. We're always like last year. A lot of the times we're like, oh, we just don't have anybody to play. Someone's hurt. Someone's hurt. And like let's not go into the season going, hey, let's keep these two injury prone guys, especially if they're going to be starters. Like we don't need starters to be injury prone. Like they should have probably made a better move, I would say, with that. But it already happened, so I can't cry about it too much. But I don't like it, and I wish they would have been smarter about it. Keep a 20-year-old instead of someone you're paying more that's hurt all the time and is at his peak of his career, basically.
Yeah.
So
it's really an interesting move. And Chris, that was a great point. I didn't even think about Olaf the Swede coming in and like potentially like just looking at the roster and preferring Alm to Kojima just off rip. Yeah, I'm really disappointed to see Kojima go. It was kind of a debate on the internet whether or not people rate like a player's potential in transfer talks.
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter. That was
Yeah.
like it was weird. Were you getting into it with somebody else?
I mean, yeah, it was us and Chat City Tactics. I believe his name's Michael, and we were just talking like it was just general back and forth. He had made the point that we wanted to keep, our starting right winger over, somebody who maybe makes the bench week in, week out. But yeah, he said he didn't weigh potential at all, and I was like, that's extremely surprising. And I think if you look at the quality, like just the general ball knowledge on Jose Kojima is, I think, miles ahead of most players in the MLS. But yeah, it's just not rated. I don't know.
Yeah, I hope he does well though. Even if he's playing for DC now, right? Like,
yep.
San Diego drafted him and then flipped him for money right away. I hope he gets playtime because that was a problem in St. Louis. Like, he was competing against the likes of, honestly, like Hartel, Vasilev, Alm, even Toykert a little bit. So
yeah,
it would be tough for him to break in, but we do need that depth. If we were gonna be playing in Champions Cup this year, I would feel it a little bit more, but like we can afford to have a little less depth, I guess. But overall, good guy. Hope he has a great career. Hope he ends up in Europe, honestly.
No doubt. The streets will never forget Jose Kojima versus Inter Miami circa 2000.
Or versus Houston Dynamo.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the last minute goal? I think so.
Beautiful. Just absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh,
we've been dancing around the big topic, which is that we have a new head coach, Olof Mellberg.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys know about him? Big Swedish guy.
I know
Some
two
say
things
he looks
about
like
him.
my dad.
Yeah, he does look like your
dad. Kind of does. I would say there's a back and forth on the internet about him, and there's this one. I don't want to call him an idiot, but he seems like an idiot. MLS Moves, and he was like, "Oh, what is St. Louis doing?" Like, because last year he was the coach, almost got relegated, went to the playoffs for relegation, won, but didn't get relegated with his previous team, and he had a thing of 0.9, like points per game, which is pretty bad. Yeah, but
but he was also with a dog shit team,
that's
which
the thing
he helped promote back-to-back times. So I'm into that.
I don't realize that, and like in Europe, if you're bottom of the barrel, you're bottom of the barrel. Like this is some capitalistic shit. Like you don't get shit, bro. You're down there. I can name multiple head coaches. Jurgen Klopp, what's his name? Arsene Wenger, Antonio Conte, all got their teams relegated before. They're one of the best ever. Like these are greatest head coaches of all time.
One thing that I think is really interesting that you've brought up in the past, Muhammad, is that you're particularly like your coaching profile is you'd prefer somebody who's unproven and like hasn't really stepped onto the big stage yet. And I think Mellberg fits into that category perfectly. Because I think I would have to say the MLS is probably bigger than the Swedish First Division. Would you guys give me that?
I mean, bigger in terms of like viewership, definitely, yeah. But then as I was watching this,
money,
yeah,
attendance.
Well, but that's the thing. Money though, not that different. Like the transfers in and out are around the same, like 300 to like 600, 750K mark. And then if you watch Swedish football, because I was trying to get a feel for like how Olof likes to play, and I was like watching his Swedish team. It's so similar to the MLS. It's crazy. Like the pace, very similar to the MLS. Like it looks very similar. So now I kind of understand why Lutz in the front office look to the Scandinavian leagues for like a Sorensen, right? Or like I guess a Joachim Nielsen. He came from Bundesliga, but still like they're looking up in that area because it is comparable to our league. I didn't think it was, but now I do. So.
Yeah. I think it's a great signing. You don't know what someone can do until they do it. Like,
yeah.
Like,
and
even if
he's got Prem and like big club experience.
Yeah,
like
he played
for Villa, played for Juventus.
Yeah.
He played for Villarreal, or he was one of the.
Yeah, Villarreal. He played for Villarreal.
Yeah.
That was at the end of his career.
He captained Aston Villa for like 7 years. Like that's
played for a Swedish national team.
Yeah.
Like
I don't know if you guys knew this, but before the St. Louis job, he was in consideration for the Sweden job too.
Yeah,
like,
I heard that.
Like, it was him, Graham Potter, and someone else who eventually got the job. But
he felt
was
like
in contention.
Yeah, he felt like he wasn't ready though, from what I heard. He wanted to get some more run, like at a club, before jumping over to international.
I feel like it's a perfect club to be at now. You know, I think the MLS is probably, we'll say, a top 15 league in the world. Most likely. I'm not going to sit here and count all. I'm not going to sit here and count all of them.
Yeah.
But I'm just, it's better. You see, I got an argument on Twitter with some Swedish guy about the Swedish league, and I'm like, dude, no one knows any of your clubs. Like, it's that simple. Like, no one really knows. It's unfortunate. Y'all don't got it like us. It's okay. And
I know Malmo FC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great shout.
Like, yeah, bro. Like, who's tuning in to Malmo FC on a Saturday night? Not me.
Yeah, not me.
I gotta know. I think it's a great stepping club. Like, if he succeeds here, he's going somewhere else. Like, that's pretty much how I view it. And he just gotta show us that he's the guy.
So what kind of play style though have you seen from him? Because as I go through transfer market right now, he changes it up quite a bit, but like you could easily see him playing like a 4-4-2. Like, I guess what I'm most interested in hearing your opinions on today is, what do you think our lineup looks like? What formation are we running out there?
I think
does Klaus have a place? Does Klaus have a place in this lineup? 3-4-3.
I think he's gonna go with a 3-4-3.
That's what they have as his preferred lineup on transfer market. But if you look at all the games that he played through, like he switched it up a lot. And it was very dependent on the opponent that he was going against. So it'd be interesting. Like he ran a 4-2-3-1 pretty often, and that's like a staple in like all leagues. So you could see that again.
I feel like a 3-4-3 would suit us. Like, we have the players to play a 3-4-3.
I think
who's our left wing back?
Probably Giannis Horn.
Yeah, it could be really anybody. Like, honestly, because it's not gonna be like he could kind of like Totland at a right wing back would be who he would benefit a lot.
I agree.
At left wing back, I think would be. Really
I wonder about that, but does he have the defensive work rate? I actually don't think he's there.
I think he is. I think the bigger thing with him is whether or not he's going to come back from this injury and like still be successful. You know, that's a serious injury to go through.
Yeah.
We still haven't really seen, like, I think he's been returning to some exercise stuff and should be ready by the start of the season. But yeah, that's some serious shit, and I don't know what his performance is going to look like next year. But yeah, wingbacks I think would be a positive thing for the club. I think it gets into that sketchy area where now we kind of have a lot of like number 9s in the super draft. We just drafted like the best 9 in the NCAA last season.
Yeah, he had 23 goals in the Big Big Ten?
Big Ten.
Big Ten, and it led the NCAA in scoring. But Chris, go ahead and try to pronounce that guy's name real quick.
Skellinen. That's how I'd say it.
And he's British. So
is he?
He's British.
Sounds sweet.
He went to the University of Akron, which is the alma mater of 4-time MLS champion Darlington Nagbe, Columbus Crew #1 player. But yeah, a 3-4-3 would be interesting next year. I would also really like to see a 2-striker approach because Klaus, Betcher, Teutschert, and I guess Skelainen is going to play City 2 maybe. There's just we have a lot of like kind of central forwards now with like I guess Hartel on the left and Alm on the right.
I don't think we're going to play a 3-4-3 simply because like nobody in the MLS is doing it. I haven't seen people do that in the MLS.
We're going to be the trailblazer here. We're going to show them what it's like to actually win with new methods. It's like when Pep went to the Premier League. No one was doing what he was doing, and he got there, started cooking. Then everyone's doing what he's doing now. It's just like that's how it works. Sometimes you got to do something that has never been done to do something that's never been done. You know what I mean? That's it. So we could do stuff, guys. What do we got to lose? We can't get relegated.
It's true.
Do whatever you want, honestly.
I mean, but you also owe it to the city of St. Louis and the fans. Like, I mean, we even at the beginning of this podcast were like, that was a dog shit season. It was like a throwaway. Like we were in the middle of a rebuild. Thankfully, we don't have to wait 3 years to see the rebuild come to fruition. Like we should see us hit the ground running, and I expect us to win the West next year. So,
damn.
You see, the only reason I called it dog shit because other than losing sucks, whatever. But it wasn't fun to watch. It was boring most of the time. Like we're sitting there 90 minutes. Like if he comes in, gets 9th in the West, but we're playing some entertaining ass football, I'm okay with it. Yeah. I'm okay with that.
9th makes the playoffs too.
9th makes the playoffs.
So fuck it.
But it's not that hard to make the playoffs. It's this year? The 6th team? Red Bull was 6?
Yeah.
And they made the finals.
Any MLS team that this last MLS Cup final proves that like anything could happen. It's the fucking playoffs. Like you could see teams get bounced super easily. Like big heavy hitter teams, your LAFCs, your Seattle Sounders, your Inter Miamis, and St. Louis has always fit that category when it comes to teams in the playoffs.
I might stray a bit here, but the MLS playoffs is dog shit. I don't know if anybody agrees with me, but it is not okay.
You don't like that they play 3 legs sometimes?
Yeah, over 3 months.
Yeah, the scheduling.
I mean it's dragged out for sure.
And no one cares. Like after a while, it's just like.
I really struggled to give a fuck after.
The final had 50% less viewership this year, because no one cared.
Once
I have to wait.
Yeah, no. Once the playoffs started, I kind of tuned out. Truthfully, I followed obviously all of the big stories from the playoffs, but dude, and that let's just talk about the playoffs for one more second here. That mug John Nelson, bro, is an MLS champion.
Makes me sick.
You know what they say nowadays? Too. Last year they said MLS champions come cheap. Not next year though. But last year that shit was cheap. No one really cared too much. And it's just best out of 3. It's not the move. Best out of 3 is not the move.
They put out a lot of we got a good amount of viewership statistics from the MLS Cup this year, and ratings were way down. I think we don't really get to see the Apple TV numbers where people on the internet say a majority of the viewership of the league comes from. We never see those numbers, but as of like the public, cable TV ratings, it was substantially down this year. So they changed the playoff structure up like every 2 or 3 years anyways. Like right before we got to the league, they were doing just a home and an away leg and aggregate score to move on. That was the way to advance. The best of 3 series was a new thing.
No, we don't need any of that shit. Best of 1, higher seed gets home, play, and that's it. Go to the next game. We don't need all these games after playing 34 games. Win a supporter shield with, honestly, who cares about? Because you don't even play.
Raise the fucking
you don't even play
stakes
all
a
the
little
teams.
bit. Yeah, raise the stakes a little bit. Make fucking teams play for it all based on their seed in one fucking game. Like, let's.
I don't like the supporter shield. Like, Inter Miami, don't play every team. They just don't play every team.
What if we just get rid of playoffs and just make it like a normal
America,
every other
bro.
football club, like every other football
America, bro.
You see, I would agree with you.
Playoffs?
If we're some European snobs, well, this is America here. Red, white, and blue, baby. We need some playoff. We need some like high stakes DraftKings shit. I want the underdog this game because we never know who's gonna win it.
Dude, we're the only socialist football league on the planet, man. We're so unique here, man. We got to keep the uniqueness of the league up, but while like bringing the football to a standard of the rest of the world. Because like obviously the worst thing about the MLS is like the play just really suffers sometimes, and I think the games, not every game is fun to watch. Whereas I think you get that a lot more in leagues around the world. I mean, also, probably specifically the Premier League, but yeah, go ahead.
We just need to stop acting like we're in Europe. Like that's it. I think the league needs to have its own thing. Like this is America.
How are we acting like we're in Europe? Like, I feel like this league has
like
so
the
many
supporter
weird
shield.
rules.
What is the supporter shield? Like,
well, somebody has to be the top of the league at the end of the year. And then like that should count for something, right? Like,
yeah, but the thing is, you don't play everybody twice. That's the issue.
Yeah.
Or sometimes you don't even play someone the whole season. You're like, oh, I don't play you ever. Okay, you didn't beat me. How are you better than me?
Valid.
That's the thing. Like, how are you better than me? Some people have tougher competition. Some people have easier. Like, it's not really a thing. So
yeah, there's work to be done, but it's not going to happen overnight. And also MLS has like they have to grow still. They still need to produce their own young talent. I think that's the next key, right? Like we should be a feeder league to larger leagues, which we're kind of getting there.
We are getting there, but I think a lot of it is not only the MLS needs to be able to produce these players, but the MLS needs to be able to retain these players. Imagine if Weston McKennie was balling for Dallas right now, doing the shit that he's doing for Juve in Dallas instead. It makes the league more fun to watch. It makes stories in the league that much more fun to watch. The talent needs to stay here once it comes to fruition, and that I think we're even further away from. I just don't.
Yeah, but he wouldn't have become the player that he is if he stayed in the MLS. That's the problem.
It's true.
Also,
the standard of play has to improve, and that's why everyone always jumps to getting rid of like salary caps, getting rid of GAM, get rid of all of the financial restrictions that we have on the MLS, and just let everybody spend.
I would say that, and then you have small market teams that would get obliterated by.
There needs to be a salary cap. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But what needs to change is we need poor kids to play. Basically, we can't have all these like Weston McKennie. I don't like Pulisic. Comes from a good family, like a nice. They can afford all this stuff. Some kids can't. And they're willing to play if you give them the chance. But like we're literally marketing out 80% of kids because why? They can't afford to play these games.
That's
why they can't go.
St. Louis City is so incredibly important to the city of St. Louis because it's giving kids a free pathway to like make it competes with Lou Fuse, it competes with Scott Gallagher. It's like new premier football training, but for free. And
you don't have to pay, right? If you're in the academy, you don't have to pay.
Nope.
I flew in to St. Louis for Christmas, and whenever I was like waiting for my bags to get picked up, U14, it must have been the U14 St. Louis City team was there, and I was like, damn, how cool would it be? Like they're all coming back from a tournament. It's all been paid for. We're developing, like they're probably going to play on the first team. Some of them will, at least one or two of them will at some point. Like it's cool that that's happening here in St. Louis, and that's unique to St. Louis. It's not unique to, or that's not happening all across the MLS is what I'm trying to say. I don't think.
Yeah. No, there's teams that are trying to cut. I'm pretty sure Minnesota is attempting to cut their academy entirely. Like there are teams in the MLS that are moving away from this idea of trying to create young talent in their organization. So yeah, also, we're lucky here in St. Louis, no doubt.
I have a friend who plays. I'm not going to say for what club because I don't think I can, but he plays for one of the academies. But the problem, he can't leave because of these discovery rights. And another team has to pay $100K for him. No one's gonna pay that. It's just like stupid. It's like we have all these things. It's like punishing young kids from playing the game that they love to play. But people don't realize, like, if I grew up in St. Louis and I played under 14s, 15s, whatever, I'm gonna be like the next Steven Gerrard for my club or something. Like I'm gonna be here forever. Like it creates like a thing that someone can be knocking, but I don't want to go because this is where I'm from. Like this is like the loyalty I have for my city. And a lot of these clubs just want money. That's all they want. Like sign the biggest names, sign this, sign that. And they don't develop their like young talents that they can have around. America's has a lot of people. Like a lot. Like I think the fourth most populated country in the world or third. Like we have a lot of people, and people just don't care. Like, don't care about the kids and develop them. Especially, what's that bum's name? Alexi Lalas. Yeah. Bro was talking about, in tennis, people have to pay. Name me one tennis champion that's American the last 10 years. Cool.
Yeah.
None.
That point is such a dumbass point, too. Like, he's always had the fucking sports is a business. But, like, that's not how soccer has been historically. It's always been the poor man's sport. We've talked about it on the show. That's our most viral clip that we've ever done on TikTok is Mickey saying it's a poor man's sport and talking about youth academies costing too much because it's the truth, and America's the only place where it's like that.
Yeah, and it's just awful here. It's awful here. All these people have to deal with this, like, I don't know. Hey, the rich people buy the team. No risk, only rewards. Hey, you can be the last place for the next 20 years. I'll still make bank, baby. Doesn't matter.
It's true.
Yeah, we're not going to fix it overnight, and we're definitely not going to fix it on a podcast, right?
The only way we can fix it is if we keep talking about it. Spread the message. Spread the word of the gospel that the MLS could be great but chooses not to.
More hate on Twitter. That's the only way to...
Call me Luigi Mangione when I'm just kidding. I'm just playing, guys. That was a joke.
Cut it.
That was a joke. Cut it. Cut that.
Okay, well.
Okay, back. We need to get back on track with City.
Bring it back to Olaf, please, Chris.
I want to hear what formation. We already heard 3-4-3 from Mo. I think it's going to be a 4-2-3-1 from him for most part, and I want to hear what your starting lineup is come February 22nd.
You know, I think I'm just going to go against the grain and say that we're going to play 4-4-2 to start the season. I think that's like the super basic football like formation.
And Olaf did play that a few times throughout his career here. So,
and I think it gives us the best flexibility of like all of our talent. Play Hartel on the left, Klaus striker, Betcher striker, Toychert striker. Edu Leuven, Durkin in a double pivot midfield, and then I guess Alm on the right, Totland right back, Kessler right center back, new signing Baumgartel left center back, Giannis Horn left back, Roman Berkey the best goalkeeper in the MLS in goal. Simple. I think that puts our best out there and at least lets Olof get a look. What about you guys, starting lineup wise?
I think I'm pretty much identical. It's just I have questions about Giannis Horn. Like he didn't really get his feet under him throughout the season, so that I don't really know what we have with him. Obviously, like front office thinks that that's the guy, but I don't know. I haven't seen
I'm
enough
not
yet.
convinced either.
Yeah. How is Joakim Nielsen hurt? Is he coming back before the season starts?
That's just what I
healthy.
Yeah.
That's the I asked. And is he hurt? Is he okay now? That's what I wonder most of the time.
Because I feel like I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like he might get the start over Kessler, especially with Olof being the manager. Swedish Connect, but otherwise that back line is pretty much exactly how I'd have it. It would just be the Durkin Leuven double pivot at those two, and then the three midfielders would be Hartel on the left, Tuchert as cam, and then you'd have Alm as the right mid, and then Klaus I think has I know there's a lot of Klaus haters in our own sphere, Muhammad being one of them.
Yeah,
I think Klaus is in. I think Klaus is in for a massive season next year.
Yep.
I'm calling it right now. I think he has over 10, 12 goals at least. Like
in 2 years, yeah.
What?
That's how much he scored in 2 years. 10, 12 goals.
No, I'm telling you, he's gonna have that next season. He's been hurt for a majority of like both those seasons, a lot of those seasons.
Yeah, come on, Mo, lay it on, man. What's wrong with Klaus, bro?
Why don't
Time
you like
to
Klaus?
learn Arabic, Habibi? Welcome to Saudi Arabia. He's
Welcome to Al Shabab.
I'd be okay with that.
Shabab. 5
if we
million,
get,
please.
if we get a bag, if we got like 10 million for him, I'm taking it.
Bro, you're not sniffing 10 million, bro. You're sniffing.
Yeah, it's Saudi. It's Saudi Arabia. They paid what?
They don't pay nothing to.
That's a lie.
They don't pay for small names. They don't pay for small names. They'll give them massive contracts, but they won't pay a lot for them. They'll be like, here's 3 million.
Okay, then who's your starting striker day one, Mo? If it's not Klaus,
give me Bescher, man.
I like Betcher.
Yeah, give me. He was doing it, man. Like so, what is it? Who was that guy that said he can't score? Gieleman? Who was it?
Who
said that Betcher can't score?
Yeah, he's like, he's not a real striker. He can't score.
Was it Taylor Twellman?
Yeah, it was Taylor. Yeah, that dude. He was talking all shit. The next game, banged in 2 goals. I was like, man,
dude,
shut the fuck up.
He caught heat there at the end of the season, and I don't think I would be upset. I think Betcher does have some real say in who gets to be the starting striker next year, because yeah, he turned it up after we got him on loan, and I guess he's here on loan still. Did we permanently sign him?
I think he's still here on loan. Let me double check.
I think my only problem with Klaus is he reminds me of another Brazilian that plays in the Premier League called Joe Linton. Have you ever seen Joe Linton play striker?
It's been a long time.
Horrid player.
Yeah.
I don't think they're comparable players. Like I think of Joelinton as more of like a midfielder.
I actually line up with Muhammad a lot.
Watch both of them play. They like to receive the ball and go up the pitch. They don't like getting the ball at their feet in the box. They like to bully people and just run down the pitch.
Dude, but maybe this is the season where we see Klaus drop back and play the 10 and have Teutschert in front of him, or have Betcher in front of him.
No, I highly doubt that happens.
I don't know. They were, dude. I feel
bro.
I mean, obviously Hackworth isn't the coach anymore, but I feel like we kind of saw that Klaus play, like where Teutschert was very much the striker getting ahead of him. He wasn't like a true central 10 or anything, but I think we saw that a little bit more towards the end of the season.
I feel like Klaus is a type of player that he needs to play off of someone, like a Bobby Firmino type. Also,
that's why we were so successful in our first season, is because him and Gioacchini had fucking insane link up.
He needs to be like someone right off him, pass him the ball,
Yeah.
pass it back. Can't be the lone guy. I just don't believe in him if he's by himself.
But he
up
won't.
there.
He won't be the lone guy. Like Toykert, if he's in the cam position, will be running at play. Like that's what I liked about Toykert so much, was he was just like full steam ahead running at players, and then he could find Klaus if he needed to. And the other thing is like Klaus can win balls like that are just dump and chase balls over the top, right? And he can hold that up, pass that off to Toykert. And then Toykert can run in behind after Klaus has had some held up play. So I like that combo. You guys want to switch him? Okay. I don't think Klaus is as good of a runner in open play as Toykert is, but whatever.
Nah, I think Klaus has got that in his bag, man. Sometimes I don't know, dude. He needs a little bit more freedom. I think that's what we saw at the start of the season, was that he could not run to the penalty spot no matter what at the start of the season. I think that's why he never really caught fire.
He felt like he couldn't do it at the beginning of the season. That was out of desperation. Like, I think if he has the right people around him, and then like Olof, right, is like a new voice in the clubhouse, is like, no, bro, like stop. We don't need you to do all this extra shit. Like, press the back line, yeah, and stay up there, but like stay in the box, be a striker. And he's capable of doing it, because I remember there's a goal that comes to mind. Celia, I don't know who we were playing, but Celia like beats a guy down the left wing, and he's like inside the box, cuts it back towards the penalty box it's just like on a line, and Klaus is able to feather it into the side corner. I'm like, dang, he does have class. That's why I kind of hate whenever our friend group or people around are like, Klaus out. I can't stand it, because he's a good striker for the MLS.
Dude, he scored bonkers goals in the MLS, like against our main rivals.
He does have injury problems. That's the only thing I have against him.
And inconsistencies.
He was pretty.
Every striker, a lot of strikers have inconsistencies, bro.
Yeah, like, we call them bad strikers. That's what we call them.
I need to do some research here.
Research. You see, I need Klaus to remember he's Brazilian, not German. You know what I mean? Play with some flair. Be confident. Just, hey, if you got to bang it, don't be robotic. Like, sometimes he just misses, like, the easiest chances. And then he gets mad when no one passes him the ball. I'm like, bro, you just missed 3 tap-ins. I don't trust you anymore.
I don't know if I've ever seen. I don't think I've seen him miss tap-ins. That would be unforgivable.
I've seen him miss tap-ins.
He missed a penalty this year. I won't ever forget that penalty.
Okay, well, who's on penalties normally? Leuven.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
I hope he has a great year.
Who takes penalties this year? Marcel Hartel or Leuven?
Leuven takes it.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting, because I think that Hartel might take a few more set pieces, like free kicks. Yeah.
True.
Because Leuven, bro, that's the thing about Leuven. He just, anytime he puts a ball in or delivers a ball, it's on a line. Like, he hits it on a frozen rope, and it's like not every situation calls for it. Sometimes you need a little bit of that finesse, you know? You need a little bend.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need that power. You need finesse.
They don't say bend it like Beckham for no reason.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, fuck Beckham.
Okay.
How about that one?
Yeah, dude. And who else are we gonna get besides Klaus to fucking tap some headers in from free kick specialist range? You know what I'm saying? Like, what? Vetcher's not very big. Toichert's not very big. Hartel's gonna be.
He's little.
Alm is microscopic. Like, who's getting up there besides Klaus? I mean, I guess Yackelstein. Yackelsteinen. What's his? Let me go back.
Yeah, I don't know how to say his name.
He's
not. I don't think he even sees first team minutes this year.
I need Matt Baker in here right now to help me out.
Listen, I don't think it matters how tall you are. You know, if you want to score a header, you can.
Yeah, you think John Klein would have fucking
ever since I saw Messi jump up and dunk on Rio Ferdinand? I'm like, yeah, sure. Messi's like what, 5'6", Rio 6'3", dunked on him.
We're talking about like best player to ever play.
Regardless,
compared to MLS roster right now, that's not. I think that the point that we just talked about with all these small players around, I think that solidifies Klaus's spot in the starting 11 just for balance alone. Like, you can't have a bunch of Rasmus Alms out there. You need one big dude who can head it in. You need at least one, you know?
At least one. I mean, I guess you
Yeah,
get your center backs up there, but yeah. Like Kessler's quite large. He scored a
How
header
big is
this year for
I think Bartel is like 6'3", so
yeah, we got some big motherfuckers now. It's
yeah.
true. There I bet we see a lot less of Kyle Hebert this season. I bet we see a lot less of Josh Yarrow this season. Yeah, it's
See. I don't know where does that leave us with Tomáš Ostrak.
I think he's going to come back and he's going to be a midfield depth piece, I would think. And I think we're going to be the best setup we've been for like cup runs that we've been before. Granted, Celio can still put up big performances. Ostrak is ready to grow into that midfield 8 role. The more we see these players prove themselves, Jay Reed, the more we see Jay Smooth be able to pick up and play their roles well, the better we're going to fucking be and the better setup will be. Because we need some fucking depth for how many games we play.
Yeah, we got Akil Watts. He's still a depth piece.
Yep.
Jake Girdwood. I don't know why I go with Girthwood.
Come on, bro.
Jake Girdwood.
Girth on your mind, man.
Hey, bro, you know why. Bro, you know why. Remember when we were in Amsterdam?
Anything, bro. I don't remember
What is bro waffling?
We got some inside that we don't need to be talking about. But there was a guy who grew up with Jake.
Keep it pushing. Nah, we don't need it.
Let's just say that.
Let's not talk about a 20-year-old like this.
Okay, we got Micah Joyner. He's knocking at the door. Probably won't get any meaningful play.
Mickey Joyner.
Nokvi Torrenson. What happens to him? What happens to Indiana Vassilev?
Hey, speaking of Indiana Vassilev, who's ready to watch him play for the U.S. men's national team?
Me. I'm stoked. I think that's another player who I think could take somebody's job. Right? Like, we spent some money to bring in. I'm not going to say he's going to take Koikert's job or Hartel's job because, like, they both seem pretty nailed on, but I don't know. Rasmus
Alm, he's
better watch out
for you. Yeah.
It's little inverted winger off the right side. I don't know.
Dude, that's where Indy has scored his best fucking goals, dude, for us.
Yep.
Bro, just being able to fucking dribble at people, and he, like, never gets to do that ever. I'm just like, please.
Yeah, because he's been relegated to, like, Leuven backup slave shifts.
Bro.
And yeah, he has to play the 8 all the time. But like, I think originally when he came up with Villa, he was like a left winger or something.
Yeah, no,
he's pretty versatile, but like, yeah, okay, yeah. I don't know. I'll be interested to see Indy if he rises or if he falls.
Dude,
I think he rises.
I think the fact that Poch has identified him, I think that Poch sees something that maybe Carnell didn't or wasn't willing to, like, give him that opportunity, because, like, that dude is a right winger.
Poch does have an eye for talent. I'd say out of a lot of managers in the world, like, he's developed a lot of great players. He hasn't won anything really, but he's, like, developed a lot of great players. I can name a lot.
Name 3.
Harry Kane, Son.
I was gonna say
Cole
Son.
Palmer really helped him shine. Dele Alli, Christian Eriksen. All these players came under Pochettino and cooked.
I'd agree with that.
So,
yeah, it's great news for Indy. Great news for the club. Great news all around. Guys, we're pushing 50 minutes here. What do you guys think about that? What a great episode it's been.
How about we give our expectations of next year?
Yeah.
We can start off with Chris. Chris, give me the position we think we're going to end in: playoffs, U.S. Open Cup, and League Cup.
Okay. I'd say in the West, we finish 4th in the West. We could win. We could win. I really am so optimistic about the squad. I think it's so deep. I think that Olaf is going to bring this attacking, intense energy that John Hackworth was kind of like, I don't know. He felt like such a stopgap. And I'm not hating on John. Like, I think he could go on to have a good managerial career, but it just wasn't the same intensity that we had under Carnell in that first season. And I think Olaf is going to bring that voice and bring that mentality back of just go out and get it. So I think we finished anywhere from first to fourth in the West. I think in the playoffs, oh man, it's so hard to predict because of injuries and everything. Like everything could just go south. And also, like you said, playoffs, you lose 2 games and you're out. So it's quick. But I'll be optimistic and I'll say that we'll make it to. I don't think we're going to win an MLS Cup this year, but I think we could go to the semifinal max. That's like the best we could do. That's our ceiling. And then in Leagues Cup, we ain't winning Leagues Cup unless we're completely out of it, right?
I'm hearing
you kind of try.
I'm hearing that clubs are going to be able, like, there's going to be some choice. I would expect this year that St. Louis is like going to be in the Open Cup and not the Leagues Cup. Or maybe we do both again, because we are not in Champions Cup, we're not in Club World Cup. So,
fill me in on the Open Cup. What ended up happening? I know there was so much controversy around that.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like this year all MLS teams are there's gonna be a requirement of MLS team participation. I think from all of the teams. None of this MLS Next Pro bullshit. I'm pretty sure was the last story that I read, and I think something came out.
Okay, format. I just found it. Featured most matchups ever between amateur and professional teams. First rounders returned exclusively professional versus amateur format. Mm-hmm. What do they say about MLS? You guys can keep yapping until I find that.
How about you give me your predictions, Riley?
Okay, here's my prediction. I like fourth in the West. Sounds really good. I would be extremely happy with like fourth in the West. And I say fuck it, dude. Let's just win an Open Cup this year. So I think fourth in the West, U.S. Open Cup. I think the semifinals of the MLS probably is our ceiling as well. Depending, I mean, bro, this could change tomorrow.
Yeah.
What about you?
You guys are very optimistic, man. I think we sneak in the playoffs at a 7th spot, maybe 6th.
You think the rebuild is not sprung to release immediately?
I think that is releasing it immediately. Having a top 4 finish against established teams who are already, like, they have chemistry, they have all this things going for them, plus, a lot of team strength. And I think it's generous to give them 4th. It's a different team than what we had, different coach, maybe different play style. There's a lot of variables, I would say, that's going on. I'd say 6th or 7th, we make it. Going to the MLS Cup, we have, I think we upset someone. Like, in the first round, we finally get our first playoff win. And I think second round, I would give us a second round, but I think depending on how the U.S. Cup goes, I think we win that.
Yeah, I think that would be massive for St. Louis, generally.
Then,
I'd love to see what the parade looks like for that. I'm sure it probably wouldn't quite get to like Blues or Cardinals or Rams status, but I think an Open Cup could draw a pretty good crowd.
I think we just tell people we won the world title. Just have them pop out.
Dude, my dream was always that the U.S. was going to win the 2022 World Cup, because that meant that the World Cup was going to be in St. Louis, because we had 3 motherfuckers on that roster from St. Louis.
Well, we'll have another person on that roster in 2026. So we'll make something happen.
Hopefully.
No, we will. Mr. Josh Sargent will be on that team.
Dude, the U.S.
Dude, why does the MLS have to be so difficult, bro? They always make it so much more complicated than it needs to be. They have 8 true MLS teams are going to play in the U.S. Open Cup. Atlanta, Dallas, Houston, Sporting, Los Angeles FC, Real Salt Lake, San Jose, and Seattle. Those are the 8 teams that are going to be in there. And then they have 19 MLS Next Pro team, or what the heck is this say?
Dude, that sounds like what we did. That sounds like that was this year's format. I don't think.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing.
That sounds like that was
What?
this year's. Like what already
yeah,
happened.
you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. I messed that up.
Yeah, you're cooked,
Okay.
bro.
Yeah.
You're finished.
Absolutely.
Well,
finished.
this makes no sense either way. So,
All right, gentlemen. I'm ready to wrap this
Yeah.
up. What do you guys
Me
think?
too.
I think it was a good episode. I'm glad to get back in front of some beautiful people on the internet and let them know what's going on with their favorite, not only their favorite, but the biggest team in MLS, St. Louis City.
oh me,
Mhm.
bring it back, man. I feel like we've been emasculated. Like our team was just like shit on this year,
Mhm.
but I'm way more optimistic than
It's
Mo.
like-
Like it's not a new
yeah.
team. It's a team that's like galvanized
team,
over the
yeah.
season, and they've had a whole off season to work together, train together. They got their coach prior to the season starting, so they can all be aligned. We're about to win the fuck it. We're
Yeah,
winning the
like-
MLS Cup.
Last
Hit
year,
it on that. We're winning it all.
last
This
year
is high on the
we-
fumes
oh,
right
shit.
now. Oh shit.
Mo's gone.
Just,
Oh.
Oh no.
damn!
That's our sign. That's our sign to
pu-
go.
I punched my thing too hard. Apparently,
Yeah.
all I gotta say to end this is last year, basically, we dated our toxic ex. This year, our beautiful wife is here, bringing up the rings. I'm ready to get married. Give me the trophies. I need something. I can't get on Twitter another year and see another KC guy go, "We want a trophy back in this era when there were 7 teams and no players." I can't do that anymore. I just simply can't. So we need something this year, and
Yeah.
hopefully we get it done.
Yep. First words from Olaf are coming soon. More shit is coming soon. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Soul of the City. We will see you when we see you. Peace out.
Thank you for watching this episode of Soul of the City, brought to you by First Touch Media and Anchor FM. Make sure to check us out on YouTube at First Touch Media, and all of our socials are at First Touch 314. Thank you for watching.